What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I want to get you guys the latest around Brian O'Neill and the injury he has to his knee, and then also talk about the offensive line as a whole, and then also the Vikings. Do they have a secret weapon offensively coming back? We'll discuss that on the second half of today's show. But before we dive into it, obviously a scary injury for the Vikings franchise right tackle Brian O'Neill. If you guys want to show him some love, type those 75s down below in the comments section. Type his jersey number, and hopefully we get some good injury news around number 75 here shortly. So let's talk about it. What is going on with Brian O'Neill? Now, really, there is no injury update from the last time we have talked about Brian O'Neill. Now, it was being reported that Brian O'Neill was going to get an MRI last night, and Kevin Seifert just aggregated what Kevin O'Connell had to say, saying Brian O'Neill will have an MRI tonight in Dublin. Said medical people were examining his MCL. So we got a report yesterday that we're expecting Brian O'Neill to get that MRI last night. And now, right now, around 9 p.m. in London, when we are filming this video, we have not heard anything. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for Brian O'Neill. I'm not going to speculate too much, but I don't know if it's just since the Vikings just lost and I got more negativity in my veins right now. But I'm assuming that's not a good thing that we haven't gotten an update just yet. Now, I'm assuming the next big-time update we will get around number 75 will be tomorrow when they speak to the media. Didn't speak today since today was technically a travel day for the group, so we'll see. But I'm definitely not feeling too good about number 75 and his return for this season. And this is what KOC had to say on Brian O'Neill right after the game, saying, I was out there when they evaluated him. Don't want to get too far ahead from a standpoint of what it might be, but it sounded like they were talking about his MCL, so that's one they'll have to evaluate. I know he was trying to do everything in his power to tape it up and see if he could go on. One of the toughest guys on our team, so I know he would have absolutely tried to get back out there if he could. And, let's just play the worst-case scenario here. And it kind of is starting to feel like a season from hell for the Minnesota Vikings. But if you lost Brian O'Neill for the whole season, that would be a massive, massive loss because you're already banged up on the offensive line. And if you would lose your right tackle without having a solid backup option, there is no doubt that would be a huge loss. Now, the Vikings, funny enough, have already had 10 offensive linemen play this season. All 10 that made the 53-man roster have already all gotten snaps, and the PFF grades look horrible. Even Christian Darrisaw, 58.5, not good. Donovan Jackson, 58.3, not too good there. Ryan Kelly, 72.2, pretty solid. But again, he's banged up with another concussion. Who knows what his status is going to be? I don't think it's off the table that Kelly potentially misses the whole season, and it's on the table that he could retire. So, that's obviously not good there. And then Will Fries hasn't lived up to that 5-year, $88 million contract so far. And Brian O'Neill has been one of the only bright spots on the offensive line. But now he's dealing with a knee injury. But even the backup offensive lineman, it's even worse. Like, if Brian O'Neill's not out there, are you going to turn it over to Walter Rouse? Are you going to turn it over to Justin School? We're School right now in 91 snaps, 57.7 overall grade. Walter Rouse, 49.4. Only in 12 snaps, but still, he didn't look good when he was out there. And then even Michael Juergens, up to 126 snaps this year, he's got a 45.6 overall PFF grade. So clearly, these injuries are affecting this offense. And if O'Neill is out for the whole season, the Vikings need to trade for a right tackle, even if you lose this upcoming week to the Browns. And it's probably all, said and done about the Vikings making the playoffs this upcoming season. You're still going to have J.J. McCarthy in his first year starting. You need to give him some protection up front. Because if you put out Walter Rouse or Justin School at right tackle, it's going to be more of the same of what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. And you know what's so funny? I was just looking across PFF, seeing who some of the top guards in the league are. The highest graded guard in 2025, I am not making this up. You can go check it out yourself, is former Vikings legend Ed Ingram. It just hurts, or it just pains me to say that, but it also has me starting to think that maybe all of the issues with the offensive line, it's not just injuries. It's not just a lack of talent. What if it's Kevin O'Connell? Because we're seeing a guy like Ed Ingram, who this regime drafted, who this regime tried to develop, first year leaving the Minnesota Vikings. This guy's the highest graded guard in the NFL. So I think it's a combination of everything, but I also don't think that Kevin O'Connell is not at fault for some of the issues on the offensive line, but I'll ask you guys this. Is the offensive line a Kevin O'Connell issue? Curious about what you guys have to say down below. But what say you? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Now we'll dive into the Vikings' secret weapon here in a second. But before we do so, today's episode is brought to you guys by PrizePicks. Now, you and I make decisions every single day, but being right on PrizePicks can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. And if you guys download the PrizePicks app today, plug in promo code CLNS. We'll hook you guys up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, PrizePicks, super simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Now, PrizePicks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40-plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. They also put their users first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. They also offer Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So if you guys want to give them a look, download the PrizePicks app today, plug in that promo code CLNS, and you guys will get hooked up with $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. But shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring today's show. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, so the Vikings' secret weapon, C.J. Ham, fullback, is set to return this week from short-term IR. Now, kind of joking and kind of not joking when I call C.J. Ham the secret weapon, but the biggest question is, with Hammer Time returning, can he finally fix this run game? Can he at least get Kevin O'Connell more committed and more motivated to run the football? Because even this past week, the offensive line, it's like a carbon copy of all of Kevin O'Connell's, kind of worst games in the NFL, where it's like week 18 versus Lions. Your offensive line's getting their ass handed to them up front. KOC doesn't adjust. Same thing happened wild card weekend. Same thing happened against the Atlanta Falcons. Then again yesterday, where it's not like the Steelers were shutting down your rushing attack. You just got away from it. Now, yes, you falling down in that game can cause you to, play that type of football, but hopefully having C.J. Ham back in the lineup at least makes KOC more committed to running the ball, because I'll show this graphic every week until it gets better. Rushing yards per game under Kevin O'Connell. Obviously, rushing yards per game is not the end-all, be-all when evaluating rushing attacks, but it definitely plays a big part. And this year, literally almost the exact same of last season. 20th in the league, 109.3 rushing yards per game. It's just not good enough. And what still drives me crazy about Kevin O'Connell is that he just refuses to change his philosophy and his bread and butter, because we know KOC's bread and butter. It's those deep, long routes where it's mainly attacking over the middle of the field. Like we see Justin Jefferson, he runs those deep ends, he runs those deep crossers over and over again. So that's KOC's bread and butter. But again, if you take that away, if you force him to coach with one hand behind his back where his offensive line isn't protecting, or maybe his quarterback has happy feet, he can't adjust. He can't say, I'm going to flip a switch and I'm going to start acting like Kyle Shanahan in the San Francisco 49ers, where it's like, all right, we got Juszczyk, we got McCaffrey, we're just going to get downhill and run the football and give our offensive lineman a break. He doesn't do that. He still expects his offensive lineman to hold up for 3 to 5 seconds every play. There's no quick passing game still. There is no run game. And it's just the same issues with Kevin O'Connell keep on coming to the surface, and it's just driving me mad. And if you guys look at the offensive EPA under KOC, it's not that good over his first 4 years as the Vikings head coach. In 2022, they were 19th when that offense was pretty damn special. 2023, 16th. Even last year, 2024, 15th in the league. And now this year, they're 27th. So it's like KOC. I still think he's an offensive genius. I still think he's one of the better play callers in the league. But this isn't good enough. And also, this is definitely not good enough. The top 10 highest sack percentages of all time. The Vikings right now in 2025 are third. The 2002 Houston Texans had a 14.53 sack percentage. The New York Giants in 23 had a 14.10. But in third right now is the Minnesota Vikings at 13.95. That's just not good enough. Also see the records up here. 4-12, 6-11, 3-14, 2-14. Somehow the Eagles back in 92 went 11-5. But point being here, all these teams well below 500. But I do have some hope, because this is not like an unsolvable problem for the Vikings. It's not like this is the nail in the coffin. There's nothing they can do to fix it. There are some answers to these issues. But again, it comes down to the head coach. Can KOC, facing a little adversity, back against the wall a little bit, can you adjust? Because this upcoming week, going against the Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett and that defensive line, they are licking their chops right now. Because they're looking at the injuries. They're looking at the Vikings' backup offensive lineman. They're saying, I could go have a hell of a day. But let's see if KOC can adjust, get that quick passing game going, just do something to Where the Vikings, it very rarely seems like they have these long drives over and over again. It's either like you got to hit an explosive play or the offense just can't drive down the football field. So hopefully KOC can adjust. I still got faith in them. But again, you have to adjust. You can't keep doing what you've been doing because it's clearly not working. I understand the injuries, but also the head coach, he should be held accountable a little bit. And he's got a big moment this upcoming week in London. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, we appreciate you. Just hit me with a skull down below in the comments section. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Obviously not good. I'm feeling too good about the Vikes, but you're still 2-2. You were 2-2 when you made the NFC title game in 2017. The Eagles were 2-2 last year, so it's not all over just yet. But hey, you got to dig yourselves out of this hole. But we appreciate you guys watching again. Hit that subscribe button on your way out. Shout out to all the real ones, and we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.